she's sitting there. She's allowing me to lead her through the fucking dark. And here I am, like, about tripping over steps and shit. And she's looking back, reading the fucking titles of the movie and, like, seeing what it says. And it says half of this movie was, what did it say? Like, half of the movie was filmed in 3D and half of it was filmed in 2D.
No, the whole movie was originally made for 2D, but they had made some scenes for 3D.
Oh, okay, yeah. The whole movie was originally made for 2D, and some of the scenes were made for 3D. And I'm like, really? What the fuck? So anyway, we saw this movie a week before. I couldn't remember, it's been so long ago since I've seen the first Tron. So we watched it a week before this. And if you're going to go see this movie, watch the first one like a couple of days before you see the new one. Because you'll see so many like iconic things that just you're like, oh shit, that's fucking awesome. So
first of all, if you don't watch the first one before you watch this one, you're not gonna have a shot in the dark of what's going on,
unless you've seen it before.
Yeah, like it's pretty. I mean, the story is pretty dependent on the first one. Like the characters, everything. I mean, every character in this, except for a few, are characters that had a significant place in the first one.
Exactly. So, going on through this, the movie takes place 20 years later after the original Tron, and or it might be 20 more years, because he comes out and he has like the video game. You saw like all the video game shit, right? Like whenever they were doing, like whenever he was talking to Sam in his like bedroom, and he's like, it was pretty badass because they can sell that shit. You know what I mean? Like they can sell like the items in that room as, you know, like, oh, it's from the movie, but you know it really is. So, and he tells a story about Tron and all that stuff about, you know, how he went into a computer and all this other stuff and what was happening. And you hear him talk about the grid constantly. And, you know, it's so badass. One thing I do want to talk about that I think we definitely should talk about, Sam, from the conversation earlier, which we usually don't talk about a movie, but this movie is still you know, enough to talk about. But, Jeff Bridges, the young version of Jeff Bridges. You have the old version of Jeff Bridges, and you have the young version of Jeff Bridges. His name is Quest, right?
Clue.
Clue. Why did I say Quest?
I don't know.
Quest is something in the movie. I can't remember.
Oh, you're thinking of that's Zeus's name.
Okay.
His other name.
Yeah. Okay. So, Clue is young Jeff Bridges, like the animated version of Jeff Bridges, and I could not tell he was animated until later on somebody talked about it. And I like, whenever I'm all into a movie, I don't sit there and really research hardcore on it because I don't want to ruin it for myself. So to find out it was all CG, Jeff Bridges, I'm like, holy shit, that was fucking awesome. And it worked perfect with the movie because it was digital. And he was digital and shit like that, and people ripped on that, which I think they're dumbasses.
Yeah, I mean that was fantastic. I think it was so cool just because the realism of the way that guy looked. I mean, just it was like when he makes when you take a look at the original Tron, like him in the original Tron.
Yeah.
And then you look at that, it's so close. Like it
really is.
I mean, it's scary.
It's fucking awesome. The light cycles, holy shit!
Oh man, that I could watch that whole games,
the arena shit. See, that's what people ripped on the shit for, because they're like, "What's the point of the games?" And I'm like, "What?"
That's what they're doing to get rid of the corrupted like hardware and stuff. They're instead of like just deleting them, they're giving them a chance to like fight to stay alive for a while by making them play the games for the entertainment of the rest of the grid. I mean, it's not that complicated to me. I mean,
dude, and people ripped this movie completely apart. All the comics, God, all the critics out there. I don't know what the fuck you're smoking, man. I don't know what the fuck you're smoking about this movie.
I mean, I guess I can see, like, yeah, the movie had some flaws.
You know what I think it is? I think they didn't see the first one before they saw this one. I think they have it in the back of their mind.
I think they've all forgotten the first one, first of all. And I think people just went into this movie, like, wanting to hate it for some reason. I really do. I think people went into this movie and just decided, like, man, we're going to hate this movie.
Yeah.
Because
it's so aggravating. It really is, because they ripped the shit out of this movie. They're like, the story was stupid. And I'm like, what?
What the hell did you want? I mean, my thing was, what do you want from the story of this movie? Because that's what I saw everywhere. Oh, the story is subpar. It's like, what the hell do you want from the story in a movie the story is, even in the first one, was like as simple as it comes.
Yeah, I'm like, do you want somebody to come out and, like, hey, you know, hand you a $50 bill every time something cool happens on there? I mean, like, dude.
The story is about, it's literally a story about, I'm stuck in this computer system, I need to get out of here before the door shuts. I mean, it's not complex.
Exactly. And we got talking about the old school version of Tron, about how it was basically, you know, being in a computer and things like that. Now, and people didn't really look at it like the now situation of, okay, so you have, like, Second Life and shit like that, and you have, like, you know, Facebook and all this social networking and stuff like that. You are basically building your own little, like, digital world online.
Yeah, you're making a grid.
And that's exactly what this movie was based about, is he wanted to make a perfect world, you know, in the grid. And, you know, he was building it. And
he was making it.
Yeah, and it really aggravates me that, you know, and so many people talked about the miracle in it. Well, we're not going to give away any spoilers on this, because I want everybody to go see this movie. But they were talking about the miracle, and whenever people found out what the miracle was, of how let down they were, and I'm
I
like,
don't see how that's a letdown. It makes perfect sense in the context of the movie.
Exactly.
What do you want? My thing was, it's in a computer, so it has to be something that really exists within a computer.
Exactly.
You can't just be like, oh, and then from the sky there came a magic sword or something. It's like, well, why that? It's a computer.
Exactly.
A miracle in a computer is going to be something within the computer that no one understands yet.
And I really want to tell you what it's about, so I can make you watch this, but I'm just going to say that it's so well done. The world is so well done that something happens to the world where something is created. And I'm just leaving it at that. So.
It basically, he, after creating his you know, society, something comes into play that not even he can comprehend.
Exactly.
At that point,
and a lot of people need to watch this fucking movie. Watch this fucking movie. Fuck all.
Oh my god! Like, dude, just stylistically too. I've never seen a movie more stylized than this. I mean, this movie's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing was that I was, like, talking earlier about it, and I'm like, dude, I about teared up at the end of it because it was over.
Yeah,
I did not want it to be over. I was like, no, there's got to be more, and I want more. And
like I told you at the beginning of the movie, like, the beginning of the movie even gives you that sense of, like, rush. It's like your gut's, like, clenching. I mean, you really care about what's going on.
I was really worried about Jeff Bridges' son. Or Sam, this character Sam, which is what's this? I can't think of his name in the movie. But Jeff Bridges' son is basically Sam, and I was really worried about Sam not being able to play that part, and it wasn't going to be that cool. And I was like, oh god, they got this no-name.
I think he was perfect.
He worked out well. Like, really well.
Because you know what? If you watch it, he doesn't overact. He doesn't do anything to overdo the scene. It's more, he made that actor knew that he wasn't really, you know, the most amazing actor ever, and so he covered for it really well by saying, you know what, I'm just going to be, you know, your conduit to all this amazing stuff that's going to happen. He didn't need to talk that much. He just needed to be there. I mean, it really, he serves as a way for you to see all this awesome stuff revolving around Jeff Bridges again. Like,
Yeah, it's fucking awesome movie. So we'll go ahead and rank it. What is going to be your score, Sam?
I'm going to give it a 10.
Really?
Yeah, I'll buy this movie. It's like Inception. I'll buy it the day of them. And yeah, it has its little flaws. It has some minor flaws. It has a couple things I didn't, majority care for. But you know what? At the end of it, I still, like, this was a movie that I left the theater just going, wow, that was a great movie. I'm so glad I saw that. It
hasn't happened that much this year at all. That's for sure. Well, I'm going to go ahead and rank it too. I'm giving it a 10 also. I love this movie. I want to see it again. It's one of those movies where I want to go back and see.
Yeah, I'd probably go see it again.
I never want to do that, ever do that. But I'm all for this movie. Completely for this movie. So...
time for the year stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be really crazy for this part right here, guys, because guess what? We're going to do the year of... or the of the year. God, why did I do
the of the years.
So, we're going to go ahead and do our theater of the years. These are movies that we saw in theaters. Mm-hmm. So, what do you think your movie... I'm just going to go ahead and throw it over to you. What is your movie of the year? The ultimate movie of 2010.
And this one, I'm not going to lie, this is probably one of the things I've debated about in my head all day, whether I wanted to change this when I first said it, or whether I wanted to stick with what I said. I mean, there have been 3 or 4 really great movies this year, but at the end of the day, mine's still got to be the one. I said this a while back, and it still is. Inception is my movie of the year. The reasons why are because I love it. It's fantastically written, directed, cast. It's easy to watch.
It definitely makes you think.
Yeah, it's something that you haven't seen before. I mean, the closest thing you can compare it to is The Matrix, but that comparison is only within like the context of some of the stuff they do in the movie, not so much the movie itself, because it's a totally different style of movie than The Matrix.
I agree completely. I think it's one of those things where you think about what's going on outside of what's going on, if that makes any sense.
It's a movie that after you watch it, you'll leave, the theater, you'll walk, out of the room you're watching it in, and you'll instantly start questioning things about the movie, or questioning what's going on. So heck, it made me question some things in reality.
Really? See, like a lot of people were talking about that movie, like, it made me question my own reality of what's real and what's not real.
Not so much for me, just for me with the whole dream thing, it really, it freaks me out to think, when I go to sleep that my mind, it really can't distinguish, what is a dream, what is not a dream, and that to me is just fascinating to think about.
Which is absolutely crazy. Well, I'm giving my movie of the year to... the movie we just fucking reviewed, Tron. I love this movie. Like I said, it is one of those movies where I will go back and watch again. I love Tron. I thought it was fucking awesome. Fuck all the other critics out there. I think they're overpaid, bloated assholes. And, honestly, I think that they are made to suck off other movies way too much. And, it's all of the reality of the newness of shit like that. This movie's not that great because why would you, this had a better story, and I'm like, no. It's the way it made you feel after you saw it. Either one or the other. Either you were satisfied, you were like, you're okay, or that fucking disgusted me. And I was completely satisfied. I walked away with that movie wanting more of that movie. A lot more of that movie.
And I'll go ahead. I think my runners-up probably are close to the same as your runners-up. For one of mine was Scott Pilgrim, of course.
Yeah, Scott Pilgrim was almost there. It was
close. It was probably third.
Yeah.
Obviously, my second was Tron.
Scott Pilgrim would have been my second one. My third one would have been Inception.
And then I think both of us have for the fourth one, Social Network.
Yeah, because Social Network was so well. I mean, it's so well put together. Even though it wasn't 100% correct, whatever the fuck they want to say, but it was a great story. It really was.
And then, obviously, I agree with Dark, too. Toy Story 3 would have been my 5th.
See,
so
I didn't get to see Toy Story 3, so I couldn't tell you that. So
yeah, it's really good.
Have a